Hello, grade 9. So today we're going to use a study guide to help us identify some ions and gases. So when identifying ions and gases, we're figuring out what they are. What is the ion? So an ion is something that is dissolved, usually in water in a solution, and it's going to be positively or negatively charged. So if you hear the word cation, that means positively charged. If you hear the word anion, that means negatively charged. So let's get started. We can use tests to identify these different cations. Aqueous means it's dissolved in water. So these are the ions, and this test will take place in dilute NaOH. This is sodium hydroxide. If you remember, that is an alkaline. So if we have a solution of aluminium ions and you put in a few drops of NaOH solution, you'll get a white precipitate. That is something white that is no longer dissolved. So you'll see it a little bit cloudy at first, and then it might sink to the bottom. Okay, and then if you add excess NaOH, so you add a lot of it, that precipitate, that white powder, actually starts to dissolve again. Okay, ammonium will give off ammonia gas. Calcium will give off another white precipitate. Chromium, copper, iron 2 and iron 3, you don't need to know the difference right now. That just have different charges, but they will all form colored precipitates. Zinc is a white precipitate, so it might be difficult for you to tell at this point the difference between aluminium, calcium, and zinc. And if you add a lot of NaOH, you could tell that calcium is different because there will be no change, whereas aluminium and zinc will redissolve. So if you want to tell the difference between aluminium and zinc, you can actually add in a few drops of ammonia. Now they should both form a white precipitate again, but if you keep adding more, the zinc will eventually redissolve, whereas the aluminium will not. Okay, so this is how you test for these cations. Next, well, you could also use a flame test, which we're not going to use right now, basically sticking some of the solution over a fire. And then you have the anions, so the negative ones. A carbonate, you should have read about that in your textbook. They react with dilute acids to create carbon dioxide. And I'm sharing another video for you to watch how to test for gases like carbon dioxide. Okay, because that should put a fire out, and that's how you can test for it. Also, you can bubble it through lime water, and if the lime water goes cloudy, the gas will be CO2. So we'll show you how to do that. Halides are chloride, bromide, and iodine, and they will actually give you different precipitates if you add nitric acid, and silver nitrate. So again, these are just ways that we can use acids and alkalines to do different tests in the lab. This could be important in a variety of applicational ways, identifying things that you couldn't from just looking at them. You also have nitrates, which you could figure out by putting damp, that means a little bit wet litmus paper in there, the red litmus paper, it will turn it blue, okay, because it is alkaline. Sulfates, if you do this, they will form a white precipitate. Sulfites will react with dilute acids, so they'll give off sulfur dioxide, and you can use potassium manganate to actually give a color change. Alright, the gases, I shared a video of this with you, so I'm not going to explain them all right now. I'd rather you watch it that way. So what I want you to take from all of this, mainly using this, so more than just memorizing it, I want you to actually be able to use them and apply them. So I've attached some multiple choice questions, and I want you to use this sheet to apply what you've learned, so feel free to refer back to it. One thing I would like you to memorize for the future is the test for gases. But for right now, please just be able to use this to answer the questions. And that's all. Have a great day.